Hi, I'm Tiffany Domena. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my website is howtoentrepreneur.org, and my mission there is to help you grow a business from idea to enterprise. If you're looking to start or to grow a business from idea to enterprise, anywhere in the middle, I have a free e-course over at howtoentrepreneur.org that's a framework to help you to achieve that goal. So with that out of the way, I want to talk to you today about a very common issue, and the issue is how to be more confident in yourself. So confidence is one of those things that most of us struggle with at some point or another, and if you're looking for a solution for how to be more confident in yourself, you're in the right place if you're watching this video. You'll learn many principles and walk away with 9 actionable steps to practice whenever you feel like you're battling with your confidence. So confidence is one of those things that it's an ongoing battle, especially as you're growing and going into new venues in life. So this is one of those things that you're going to have to practice and keep rehashing and keep protecting, so that way you can continue to grow and achieve the most potential that you have. So I want to share my personal story of going through a confidence challenge and share also with you the 9 steps to winning the battle of confidence. So I was in the military. When I got off the plane in San Antonio, Texas, on my way to basic military training, I didn't feel like a warrior. In fact, I had many doubts about whether I'd even be able to make it in basic training. I thought to myself, am I too girly for this? Will I be able to keep up with all the exercise? Can I handle the yelling MTIs or military training leaders all the time? Or on top of the thoughts there were the facts. I had never shot a gun before. I didn't know how I would tolerate the gas chamber. I like to keep my hair and nails in a certain way, and I wasn't sure how I would keep them done. I didn't know how I would make it, and I wasn't sure I would graduate until I actually did. I was constantly focused on the task at hand, and there were so many challenges. I never knew if one of the challenges would forfeit my chance at a military career. There were days when I was motivated, and other days I needed many strong pushes from others who wanted to see me succeed. I remember calling and crying to my parents. I felt mistreated, trapped, and like I'd bitten off more than I could chew, but I kept going. And it's a part of the process. I'm sure you may have experienced the same emotions and thoughts, maybe not about basic military training, but about another challenge you're staring at. You may doubt yourself, and maybe you don't have confidence that you can do it. I get it. I've been there many times. Confidence is the cornerstone to going into a new endeavor. Even if you have many doubts, you have to have that small inkling that maybe you can. Otherwise, you may forfeit putting forward the effort into the new venture. I want you to challenge yourself to grow, which means you'll have to build resilience and pursue unfamiliar things. If you're going to pursue those things, you have to at least have a mustard seed size of faith that you can do it. And that's why I'm doing this video. This is my formula for how to be more confident in yourself. So the first thing you have to do is you have to address self-limiting beliefs. I told you my thoughts. I told you when I came to basic training, I thought maybe I was too girly, or maybe I couldn't handle BMT. And there's malfunctions that each of us feel like we have going forward into a new venture. Like when it comes to doing this YouTube channel, there were confidence issues that I had to go past. I had to think about, am I going to actually be able to connect with people through video? Will I be able to build relationships with people through video? Will I be able to offer enough value that it can be helpful to other people in video? And those are the kind of things that we each ask when we're pursuing a new venture. Um, why do you think those things would stop you from being able to accomplish the goal? You have to sit down and analyze those self-limiting beliefs that you have, and analyze what malfunctions do you feel that you have. For example, when I was going to BMT, the malfunctions I thought I had were being too girly. So I had to decide, am I too girly to do what it takes, or am I willing to go past that? Am I willing to give up the girliness and do what it takes to be a military in the military? Am I willing to be a troop? Or am I just going to settle with being too girly to accomplish certain things in life? I also had to sit down and analyze, why did I think this girliness would stop me? Can I still be feminine and be in the military? Why do I think that being feminine would stop me from being able to achieve that goal? And so that's something that you have to do as well. Those self-limiting beliefs that you have to really address them. And when it comes to addressing self-limiting beliefs, I really love the story of Nick Vujicic. And I may be saying his name wrong, but he was born with no arms and no legs, and he tells the story of when he wanted an item from high on a bookshelf, and he asked his parents for help, and they said no. He thought, I have no arms and no legs. How can I get that item from high up on that bookshelf? And most people would have sympathized for him and allowed him to hold that self-limiting belief. His parents weren't intentionally being mean to him. Instead, they wanted him to overcome beliefs that made him think he was limited because he didn't have arms and legs. And guess what? He figured it out. He learned how to maneuver his body to get the item that he wanted. Fast forward many years, and Nick has driven a car, he has skydived, he's had children, he's gotten married, he travels the world, and he's one of the highest paid speakers in the world. He's reached something like half of the world's population with his ministry, Life Without Limbs, and accomplished many, many, many more things most people would say they couldn't do even if they do have arms and legs. And so I have this really cool interview here with Nick Vujicic and Patrick Bet-David that you should probably take a look at, because it's really encouraging. Because he, of course, being without no arms and legs, he had things that he thought were not possible for him to do. And we all have things that we feel aren't possible for us to do. We feel disabled from certain things. And it's really interesting to hear his mentality towards being disabled and to hear how he addressed that. And I think it's something we all should do, is address those self-limiting beliefs and learn how to transcend them. It's easy to believe a self-limiting belief is legitimate, and to find people to rally into that belief with you. It's more of a challenge to work around the presupposed limitation, but you can do it. You can do it. So I also wrote another article with 67 limiting beliefs you should avoid, and you should definitely check it out, because these are really common limiting beliefs that we all can fall victim to from one time or another. So I'll leave the link to this post, How to Be More Confident in Yourself, in the description box below. And if you want to stop by and take a look at this other post, 67 limiting beliefs you should avoid, definitely follow through and check that out. So the second thing that I think you should definitely do when you're experiencing a challenge with your confidence is start making and keeping promises to yourself. Oftentimes, our confidence is not optimal because we've broken a lot of promises to ourselves. For example, maybe you said you wouldn't eat any more sugar, but you let the temptation overtake you. Maybe you committed to yourself that you wouldn't have sex until you were married, but you got caught up in the moment and you had premarital sex. Maybe you said you would start working out to get in shape, and whenever your reminder goes off on your phone, you just shut it off. And When you continually make promises to yourself and you don't keep them, you start to decline into lower and lower confidence levels. Then before you know it, you're making excuses for yourself like, I can't stay away from sugar because my body just needs it more than everybody else's. Or you'll say, some people can't abstain from sex, but I just can't because my body just can't operate without it. Or you'll say, I'm not able to work out because I just don't have the wherewithal to do it. And the excuses can really go on and on and on. And you start to make accommodations for yourself instead of increasing in discipline and pushing yourself. To change the momentum, you have to start keeping promises to yourself. Start small and build up. When I was in basic military training, I wasn't sure if I could accomplish the full training program, but I started looking at each task one at a time. If they asked for push-ups, I would do the push-ups without considering whether they asked me for more push-ups afterwards, because a lot of times they would. You finish 25 push-ups and then they say, again, drop down and give me more, But you can't think about whether or not they're going to ask you for more, because that'll discourage you. Instead, you have to think about the command at hand. The command at hand is 25 push-ups right now. If they ask for more after that, the command at hand is 25 more push-ups right now. And you have to just focus on the task at hand and don't focus on, well, if I pay this bill right now, then it's still going to be this huge balance afterwards. Or if I abstain from sex right now, then he may not ask me to marry him for another year and I'm going to have to abstain for that whole year. Or if it's so many ways that we start to look at the future instead of looking at and being present right now and looking at the task and the obstacle at hand. So for you, you can make small promises to yourself and you can keep those. If you say you would stop using sugar, break down the goal. You could say, I won't eat sugar with my dinner tonight. Then once you accomplish that small goal, then you make another one. I won't eat sugar with my dinner tomorrow night. Or you can say, I will cut back on the sugar. I won't eat as much sugar as I did before. And just, start small. Start with, I'll eat less sugar with my dinner tonight. I'll eat less sugar with my breakfast tomorrow morning. And focus on the baby steps. When it comes to business, it can be like, say you decide to start a media company like I have, and you're trying to get into the habit of blogging. It may be a big task for you to consider creating a huge blog with 1,000 or more posts on it and 2,000 words each. It could be a huge obstacle. But you have to break it down. You have to break it down into small bite-sized chunks. Maybe you could say, I'm going to write 100 words every morning. Or find a small bite-sized chunk that is small enough for you. The same thing, people would ask me, how did you write 15 books? How did you do it? And I didn't write 15 books by looking forward and saying, you know what, I'm going to write 15 books. No, I sat down and I made a discipline and I said, I'm going to write every day, and I really want to encourage people who have this issue, and I'm going to write every day so that I can create a book that is able to help them solve that issue. Now, I would challenge myself with word count goals, and my word count goals were challenges for me. And so I don't want to share those because I don't want to make that a hindrance for people, because I do write a lot, and it's always been something, a joy, something I enjoyed doing. And being creative is always something I've enjoyed doing. So for me, I could sit down and say that writing 1,000 words in the morning would be something feasible for me, but maybe not for you. So you will have to decide what is a feasible goal for you and what is something that you feel that you can accomplish, because it's really going to be important for you to build up your confidence by keeping those promises to yourself. And after you keep one promise to yourself, then you'll be able to stretch those promises, and you'll be able to go from maybe 100 words to 200 words to 300 words. And before you know it, you're able to keep a promise to yourself of 1,000 words or more. So that's one of the things that you do to start building that confidence. And the next thing, number 3, the step to building your confidence, is don't confuse memory with facts. Our memories can be quite tricky. We can try a piece of cake and strongly inflate how good the cake tasted because our memory stores things in a way that's relevant to us. We see things from our own paradigms. That's why you can have several people who witnessed the same event, and each person could tell the story differently. Each person has an embedded bias based on their values, beliefs, experiences, and upbringing. The bias can be right or wrong, but it creates responses that are filtered through a mashup of emotions, willpower, ego, and background, which is not how you should base all of your decisions. Don't get me wrong, you can get wisdom from experience, but you can also create fallacies and limitations that aren't factually there. You have to come to grips with the fact that your memory could be serving you wrong. It's typical that when you're wanting to pursue something new and you lack the confidence, that your memory would serve you similar situations that may not have worked out well. In these times, you have to resort to facts and make your memory subservient to the facts. And this is something really, I really hope you grab hold of what I'm saying here, because a lot of times, like for example, when I was going to basic training, I would look at the tasks that I'll probably have to do in basic training, and my memory would go back to gym class when I was in elementary school. And there were a lot of gym classes that I really didn't like. And I kept thinking, well, if I go to the military, I may have to do things like I used to do in gym class. Will I be able to do these things, because I really didn't like gym that much? And so in those situations, most of the time we resort back to a previous experience where maybe we didn't succeed. And so those situations, you don't want to say that it's a fact that I won't be able to handle the basic military training because I didn't like gym class. That's not a fact. And so you'll have to make your memory subservient to the facts. And the fact is that I was the right, I was within the body weight. I had the speed. I had the physical ability. I had the brain power. I had the willpower. Those were the facts. Even if those facts didn't work in my favor in gym class in the past, those facts can definitely work in my favor when it comes to accomplishing basic military training. And guess what? It sure did. And so when you are going into these situations where you're struggling with your confidence and your brain starts to serve you these memories of issues, correlating issues of times when you didn't succeed in the past. Maybe you're trying to start your business and you're trying to grow your business, and your brain is serving you these times when you tried to start before and it didn't work out, or these times when you tried to say hi to somebody and they didn't respond back, and you have these memories of rejection. So you don't want to go and do this door-to-door sales, or you don't want to go and tell people about your products and services because you have this memory of when somebody said something to you when you created something before. But you have to remember the facts. The facts is that if you are starting a business, you're trying to create a solution for somebody else. That's a fact, or it should be a fact. If you are starting a business, then your solution needs to get to the person who needs it. If you're starting a business and your solution doesn't get to the person who needs to see it, then you won't accomplish any financial goals. On top of that, you won't help anybody. And it's not fulfilling that way. And you have to remember facts like that and take those facts and regurgitate those and say, you know what, I need to help I need to help people, and in order to help people, I have to go out and face rejection. I have to face my fears. I have to go forward, And don't confuse your memory with those facts. The facts are that you have to push, you have to push, you have to push. Yeah. So number 4, affirm yourself. There's so many ways to do this. There's different quotes. There's really good books, there are scriptures, there's mantras, there's positive experiences, there's pampering, there's positive affirmations, and your goal is to monopolize your thoughts with positive thoughts about yourself, so that when the negative thoughts come up, you can have these mantras that you rehash. You can say, when the thought comes up, will I really be able to do this? You'll have that voice that comes up in your head that says, yes, I can. Yes, I can. And you'll have that thought in your mind because of what you've regurgitated. I've done this big thing before. I can do this thing in the future. And so you really want to practice encouraging yourself and affirming yourself and validating yourself, because a lot of times people lean on someone else to do it for them, to say, and of course we all want that. We all want someone to say, I support you. What you're doing is great. You're beautiful. To say, I like what you're doing. To say you're really a big help in the community. All of these things are really nice affirmations, and yes, they make you feel great, but you have to be able to do it for yourself, even when those things don't come externally. And sometimes having something like an audio book or having a helpful video, maybe this video is encouraging to you. You can watch this video more than once. Like, really, my desire in creating this was that you would know that you can accomplish the things that you're set out to do, and that the confidence battle that you're experiencing, whether it's now or whether it's in the future, is not bigger than what you are capable of. And that's really the point in this video. So, you want to use facts, you want to use mantras, you want to use positive experiences, you want to use scriptures, you want to use quotes, pampering, simply positive affirmations, and your goal, again, is to monopolize your thoughts with positive thoughts about yourself. For me, I often resort to scripture because there's a lot of really positive ones in there that talk about how you were designed and why you were designed, and it talks about it gets you to think about something bigger than yourself and why you're here, as far as what your purpose is. And a lot of times we don't realize that just like there's a manufacturer for this computer that I'm on or this webcam that I'm on right now, that there's also a manufacturer who created us. And some people don't believe that, and that's up to you. But when you think about that you have a design and you have a reason for that design, it's really something that you can rehash in your mind, that you weren't designed to fail. Every product is designed to function well. Every product is designed for a purpose, and you have one too. So going past that, another thing that I recommend for building your confidence is prayer and meditation. So I have a biblical worldview, and I believe that your manufacturer designed you in his likeness. He designed you to be like him. And yes, we fall short of that. So most of us have inside of us this metric and this desire to be better and to do better and to be more. And even we desire to be perfect. If we could, we would really want to do everything perfect and be perfect. Like, when I got on YouTube, I really wanted to be able to be the best YouTube creator possible. And the same thing with blogging or starting a business. You really want to be the best at the business that you do. You want to offer the best support to your target audience. Of course, that desire is there, but there's we have to have a learning curve. We aren't perfect. And as a result of that, you really just have to start where you are, but you have to meditate on the potential you have. You have to really reaffirm that. And you have to believe that you were designed to be better and that you're capable of being better. And often we grossly underestimate what it means to be designed and to be designed by a manufacturer who really wants us to do well and who really wants us to grow, and who's providing sufficiently for us to do that. When you look outside and you look at the grass, and you think about how it's taken care of. The fact that grass has been around for centuries and centuries and centuries, it's taken care of. And it's just interesting to think about how we don't have to request things like oxygen, or we don't have to request things like sunlight or the bees to pollinate the food that we can eat. Those things are there for us, And so you shouldn't underestimate how those things are naturally provided for you, and that there's something or someone, some algorithm somewhere, someone who created that algorithm somewhere that has you in mind, that thought about sending the bee over to pollinate the flower so that you could have the food that you needed on your table. That thought about having a tree that would release oxygen into the air so that you can take it in. Those things you shouldn't take for granted. And there's so many self-inflicted limits that we have that we can cancel by praying and meditating on who God is. And even if you don't believe that the name is called God, or you believe that there is algorithms, or however you formulate that higher being or higher power, those self-inflicted limits, we think of him as being like us. We think of that whatever it is that causes everything to operate in order around us, we think of that to be like us, and to have shortcomings like we do. And you shouldn't think of it like that. Oftentimes we can lack confidence simply because we're thinking about our own capabilities based on a broken paradigm. When we read a scripture, it can repair our paradigms, because rather than being from just a girl in Akron, you've become, or rather than us thinking about ourselves as just a girl from Akron, because I'm from Akron, Ohio, you become fearfully and wonderfully made, and that's the different paradigm between how we might think of ourselves and how Scripture says to think of ourselves. It talks about how he thought about us well before we were put into our mother's womb, and different scriptures like that just make you really ponder the intricacies. He knows the number of hairs on your head. It's like this person really, this person really cares. They're much bigger than my mom or my dad. I mean, my mom or my dad, they love me, but they never thought about counting my hairs, And when you start thinking about someone who cares that much, it's no human that's able to pair with that. As much as I love my daughter, I've never tried to take the time to count her hair or looked at the intricacies. I never thought about pregnancy when I was 1 or 2, or but there's someone out there who thought about her well before I even thought about her. There's someone who thought about giving me that gift of a daughter or a son, or that's completely changed my life in a positive way. And so anyway, meditating on the thoughts of God and on the nature and how nature intertwines with itself to provide for you, and how even when you feel that you have nothing, say you've endured homelessness or something like that where you just lost everything, but even when you lose everything, you have something. And I think that it's just so powerful to think about that. Okay, so number 6 is to crave applied knowledge. There's a lie going around that knowledge is power. But shelf knowledge has no power. Instead, applied knowledge is power. So continually learning and finding opportunities to practice what you've learned and to apply what you've learned helps to really build that confidence, because you're not just sitting and being a consumer of the information, but you're actually taking that information and creating with it. And so applied knowledge and having the craving to apply that knowledge is really, really something that can help boost your confidence. And number 7 is leverage experience. So, like I mentioned to you, I went to basic training. And when I went to basic training, I wasn't sure I could do it. But after I did basic training, there were other things that came up in life, and I would look back and say, if I could do that, then I can take this all day. And that's what you need to be able to do. You need to look back at what things you're really proud of that you accomplished, and what strength and discipline and commitment it took you to accomplish those things you're proud of. And apply that same strength and discipline and accomplishment towards these things that you have. A story I really like is the story of David and Goliath. And it's a Bible story, but it's also a historic story. There's lots of archaeology that validates the truth in that story. So it's, history just like any other history story. But the fact is that at one point there were people who were giants, and they found skeletons to say that these giants, some of them were more than 30 feet tall. And if you look, you can do a lot of historic studies to verify what I'm saying. But so if you look and you find a Goliath, because they've studied the tribe that Goliath, or the people that Goliath came from, and he was a part of these giants, not like giants tall, people 6-7 feet tall. I mean giants more than 10 feet tall. And David wasn't a giant. He was a normal human being. And these giants were massive. Their heads were huge, their arms were huge, their legs were huge. If you look at the skeletons, these giants were huge. And so David, he was really small in comparison to Goliath. And he appeared to be no competition when you look head to head. You have this huge person that's taller than my house. Most of our houses nowadays are less than 40 feet. And so if you live in a single story, it's likely this giant was probably taller than your house. And even if you live in a 2-story house, it's likely the giant was still taller than your house. And so if you think about this huge person who comes at you, who's a warrior and well-trained military experience, and then you think about this normal-sized human who was a shepherd at that. He didn't have a background in the military. He had a background of handling sheep and watching sheep. And sheep are not vicious, so you would think that he would not have the experience that he needs to go out and to battle with this military trained, humongous giant. Just think about that. I mean, you think about bullies and stuff in school, but this is on a massive scale. This is a huge, it looks very much like this giant has the advantage. But even though David was small and he appeared to be no competition to the giant, he still went head to head with him. Why would David have the confidence to publicly attempt a battle with Goliath? I mean, he did it not in private. He didn't say, Goliath, let's try to, go to the bathroom and see if we can hash this out. He went in front of the entire Israeli military, who all was scared of this giant. All of them had been well trained. And he went in front of all of them and said, I know I'm little and I haven't been trained, and I'm not going to wear any armor. On top of that, he didn't come with any military weaponry. But he had the confidence to go out and to battle this Goliath. So I just think about that story, and it just blows my mind how he built his confidence to be able to do that. Don't you think he thought it was possible for him to lose that? Because if he didn't, he would have to be like delusional and need to go to a crazy house. It would have been embarrassing on top of that for him to lose to Goliath in front of all of these people. It wasn't just Israel's army, but Goliath was backed by his own military too. So it was a lot of people, and this is just like somebody like really a celebrity or something, and you decide to go fist to fist with them, and maybe you don't have that much of a following and they do. And just think about it in today's terms, how that would apply. But this is what David said that built his confidence. What he said is, I've been a shepherd, tending sheep for my father. Whenever a lion or a bear came and took a lamb from the flock, I'd go after it, knock it down, and rescue the lamb. If it turned on me, I'd grab it by the throat, wring its neck, and kill it. Lion or bear, it made no difference. I killed it. And I'll do the same to this Philistine pig who is taunting the troops of God alive. God, who delivered me from the teeth of the lion and the claws of the bear, will deliver me from this Philistine. And then Saul said, go and God help you. I'm not going with you, bro. So anyway, that was my addition. So sorry. But anyway, I just want you to think about the things that you did in life and leverage that experience, whether it's your first steps, because sometimes I'll go back with my kids and they'll say, Mom, I don't know if I'm able to do this. I don't know if I can do this. And I'll say, well, I know that you were able to walk your first steps early. You were able to say your alphabet, on time. You were able to accomplish this goal and that goal. And I try to go along with them to leverage those things that they have done and the things that they have done well, and show them how, if they could do this, if you could walk, if you can talk, if you can pass this test that you thought was so hard, if you can, what is it for you? If you could do that, then you can definitely do what it is that you're looking at in the future. So leverage those experiences rather than correlating the bad events and leveraging them to stay paralyzed and indecisive. You can leverage past success and use it as leverage to pursue something that you're not confident about. So number 8 is face your fears. The fear of failure or the fear of rejection are usually the ones that paralyze us the most. Action is the best medicine. And my mantra is, the worst case scenario is that I try and I try again. You may or may not succeed on your first attempt, but there's lesser regret from trying your best. If you just never attempt, it's so much regret that can come along with that. But if you try and you give it your best shot, at least you can say, I tried my best. And when asked, what made you quit your great job? When asked what made you quit your great job, move to Washington State, and try starting a business, Jeff Bezos said he thought about when he's 80 years old. He thought, which would he regret more, trying and failing or not trying at all? So this is the founder of Amazon. He was in an interview and they asked him, what made you quit your great job, move to Washington State, and try starting a business? Because really it was a trial. He hadn't done it, And he was considering starting a bookstore online. And of course, he has this great job, and people are thinking, why would you go and quit this job, move to this odd state, and start a bookstore on the internet? Especially at that time, the internet wasn't as established as it is now, and it wasn't as many success stories as it is now. So he had to decide, how am I going to face the, how am I going to face this? How am I going to have the confidence to go and work on an Amazon when I already know that I have this stable job and I have people, a family to support? He thought he would have more regret from staying on the safe route than he would if he challenged himself. He sacrificed his financial stability and started his business. As a result of his choice, the world has Amazon. People who had limited products now have 2-day shipping. When you face your fears, it can have a positive effect on you and billions of other people. Your choices will affect this generation and future ones. Will you leave a positive legacy? That's really your choice. And number 9, is commit to taking action and proving your negative biases wrong. The best way to build confidence is by taking action. You have to practice and commit to improvement and mastery. In life, you start off bad in most things. If you think about it, you can't walk, talk, or even use the bathroom when you start out. Then with time, action, and practice, you learn, you improve, and you master things. As you go through the process of action, practice, and mastery, you gain confidence gradually. So begin taking action. Regardless of if it's starting your business, just start a small routine towards your business. Like if you are too scared, or if you are paralyzed and your confidence isn't strong enough to go in for the big things, start with something, start to help one person in your target audience, start to figure out how you can use one tool to help a person in your target audience. Decide on who your target audience is. Maybe that's the baby step. Who do you feel responsible to help? What problem do you feel responsible to eradicate from this earth? What problem do you feel like you can be the most powerful and the most influential with helping to remove it from this earth, so that people in the future don't have to deal as much with that problem as you did? Just think about all these things and ways that you can use your skills, your talents, your gifts to positively impact yourself, the world, and the next generation. Just start taking action. So my final words on how to be more confident in yourself. The goal of this video was to show you how to be more confident in yourself. And if you have more questions about this, definitely leave your questions in the comment section below. You can also stop by howtoentrepreneur.org and leave your questions in the comment section below this article. But now it's your turn. Have you experienced times where you didn't have confidence? And how did you handle it? Would you add or take anything out of the process that I mentioned in this video? Leave your comments, your questions, your feedback in the comment section below this video. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like it, where I talk to you about how to grow a business from idea to enterprise, along with other lifestyle things, because in reality, it requires a lot to start a business. It requires relationships. It requires self-evaluation. It requires mindset. It requires, being able to solve problems. It's so much that's required to start or to run a business, especially if you want it to grow, to be an enterprise. And that's the mission that I have at this channel and through howtoentrepreneur.org. So if you're interested in going on this journey with me to start or grow a business from idea to enterprise, subscribe to this channel, stop by howtoentrepreneur.org, check out my free e-course, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.